How y'all doing? Good. What do you think? What do you think about this soil health, biological sustainability? What does it mean to my farm? Why biological? Soil health is the focus of progressive farmers. And probably the magazines that have been putting the most in there. Dairy magazines. Beef magazines. What in the world are these people trying to tell me? Are these people with animals a little closer to soil than we are as grain farmers? And then what's the components of the feed that we're producing today? What's going on? Are we just taking aspirin tablets to try to solve a problem that you need to maybe go to the chiropractor to get fixed? You know, probably the Furrow magazine stirred everybody's thoughts. When they come out, they said that there's no doubt the nation's agricultural lands were once fertile and deep, full of organic matter, and the land was balanced. I'm going to go back to the fence row again. And how many of us walk over into that fence row and look at our soil structure and walk out in our field and say, wow, that's a difference. And then we say to ourselves, well, this is because we're conventional farming. And we're traveling across the field. Well, who has good soil structure that probably travels across their fields more than we do? It might be that organic farmer that's a top-notch organic farmer. So you know, in a healthy soil, 50% is supposed to be pore space. Half water, half air, 45 minerals, 5% organic matter. You know, this is where I spent a lot of my time. There's about 3 billion microbes in a tablespoon of soil. We may have spent our career working on this side and then thinking once in a while about this side. But really, what makes this side function is this side. It's the biology, actions, that creates quality physical structure in our soil. Now here we got a problem. How can we get back to improving or getting our our soils better biologically balanced? How can we get there? Now this is a professor. He's got about 40 years of research under his belt. I hauled over this little product we call SP1. He says this material is never going to work. And I asked him why. He says, I've looked at it all. I'm a vegetable horticulturist. Everybody brings things to me. And he says, statistically, most stuff doesn't work. And nothing has showed real super promise to me. But over time, we caught a quote. I think about 3 years into the work that we were doing. Soil is more than dirt. Increasing colonized microbial activity on your plant roots is the first step in regenerating the soil. Now, he's even stepped in on the bandwagon a little bit. So we got to look at what is the most valuable investment on our farm. How many of us spend our money here? Because that's what we think. Well, we really need to be thinking about what's going on here. Now, there's all the things about cover crops, and they're good. But from where we are today, can we put them into our system and make them regenerate our soil? Can we get it there? Can we do it? So the value to the grower of the benefits of a biologically active soil improves soil structure, tilth, and aggregation. This is the big one to me. So they're both valuable, but there is a difference. Enhanced root growth assists deeper penetration, better infiltration rates and water holding capacity, healthier plants. This is a big one, healthier plants. When you are with your growers, the number one thing you can do is take a shovel and go out and look at what's colonizing on my roots. How many hairlets are there? It's how much soil is colonizing on these hairlets. These are simple things that can help you give your grower and yourself an understanding of what's happening, good or bad. What I've been looking at is that I found a tool that I can go in a conventional row crop and apply it in furrow or in furrow and starter or in furrow starter and side stress and change the soil structure and the soil biology in a production year. This is what we're finding. The diversity of SP1. So here's the situation in soil till. How many of us have soils that look like this, and how many of us have soils like this? This has to do with my research with the scientists with Growmark over in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I've been putting about 5 years of work with these researchers. We're going to see what some of them have to say. But this is Dean Collimer's hand. This is no-till soil. It's been no-till for 15 years. This has just had some SP1 run with it. So tilt is the physical characteristics of soil, especially in relation to the suitability to grow crop. Good tilt is determined by the formation of aggregated soil particles. And that's what I've been able to see with the use of SP1 and with a fertility program applied in furrow, or as Heiniger's work, he did it with 2x2 work. And Orslick's done broadcast work with SP1 and pre-emerge herbicide programs. It's just blowing my socks off to what the response can be over a multiple of year application. If you're a potato grower, do you want clods or you don't? I have a grower that I've worked with for about 27 years. He's up 1.5 miles an hour harvesting potatoes faster this year than 40 years previous. He's harvesting 35 more acres of potatoes a day with our use of SP1 in his potato program. And this year with harvesting and the rain we dealt with and that western Pennsylvania, southwestern New York, to be able to get that many more acres through the diggers was the difference between getting it done while the potatoes still had quality and not getting them done. And one day he told me, he says, you know, Denny, we're up 50 hundredweight. I said, man, that's $500. He said, that's nothing. I said, what do you mean that's nothing? He says, we're only hauling 1 load of tearaway on 13 semi-loads of potatoes going to the grader. Where we've used SP1, we haul 4 loads of potatoes to the grader, and we're hauling 1 load of tearaway. That's cost. That's big money. So we look at water management with improved pore space. We have ability to move more water in and hold more water and bring more water back to the crop with this project. Healthy soils contain groups of particles called aggregates that are bound to each other more strongly than the adjacent particles. The space between the aggregate is called pore space. How do we get that? How can we rebuild it? Corn. Corn produces masses of amounts of mucilage. And you can take a compound that induces the initiator to cause that to happen, like SP1, and you begin to form aggregation. Here's where we are today. Most soils are platy. Our soil particles are dispersed, meaning the clay particles on our soil are so dispersed that they're not in aggregate, so we get platy soil, okay? Granular soils have flocculated soil particles that are clumped together to the flock. Have dispersed clay, you got platy soils, the soil just runs the water off and away goes a little bit of soil with every particle. We can get it to move through the soil and then hold to the soil. Wow. So we're moving on. So what is the value? What about nutrient and uptake? See, I don't happen to think there's one product that is super, that's everything. You know, it's me, I'm thinking about fulvic acid, right? I'm thinking about what else we can do. Deficiency happens here. Without biology, we have no fertility. We got white roots there. Okay? On those oats. tell you about this meeting with Dr. Heine. So he says, I've been very impressed. It struck me both the difference in the granular texture to the soil as well as the mucilage where the biological was applied. This is an agronomist who will be in a meeting tomorrow with us, our group, that I'm talking about the impact alone increases nutrient uptake. And we started with Scott in the greenhouse in rock wool. And Scott was running so much fertility on these tomatoes and peppers and cukes that were in these big greenhouses down in southeastern Pennsylvania. You had to have an agitator in the barrel to keep all the nutrients up, the crops going south. So the key is farm profitability. Well, let's talk about the ability of SP1, but everything we're thinking about. How much diesel fuel does it take to run an acre? How many passes to get that seed furrow or that soil seed contact right? So what is SP1? It's a diverse mix of microbes known to build soil biology. SP1 formula supplies bacteria, fungal compounds, algae to the soil, and includes carbon substrates, vitamins, minerals to support the growth of the microbial life. The microbes prefer aerobic conditions, so if somebody says I want to put it through subsurface irrigation like 18 inches in the ground, it's not going to work. Not very well. It's got to be in that top where the fence post rots off. They have a dry seed treatment. Mike did some nice work with it last year. It's a totally different group of families. It's a totally different group than what we have in SP1. Okay? So what if you could travel a mile an hour and a half faster at car time? Is it only that potato farmer? Reduce seedbed, improved irrigation drip efficiency. I'm finding guys are telling me 30%, and I'm finding some researchers are telling me 40%. Penn State, 2 years in on this plot. We're going to be 3 years in this year, and we're going to start another plot, so it'll be 1, 2, 3 years. 25% difference in penetrometer readings. This guy put it in, some of that soil in those boxes, over 300 psi in that root zone of the corn, okay? And where we had SP1 for 2 years in a row, we were under 200. That's 25%. This relates to why some of the people are telling me we're running a lot less diesel fuel per hour. When a guy running 5-some horsepower, 500 and some, he says, you know what? He says, we're running between 4.5, 5, 6 gallons less an hour. Well, if you run a 10-hour day, that might be 50 gallons of fuel. These are things that I think about. Everything you're going to pull through the field is going to pull easier. Better drainage. Stock and ear. All the stock's going to go down much quicker, definitely. This was very noticeable in our plots. And understand, this is a 2-acre field. We got walkways, and we're walking right from one road to the other and getting these stalks, and I'm doing this with the GrowMark team. Ear quality. SP1, not nearly as much mold on the ears, is really consistent. You're not allowed to say that. Not really allowed to print it. I mean, I'm walking that narrow line if people don't want to see me walk.
We've seen that pretty consistently over the last couple of years also, Denny. We're seeing less ear mold where we've used it.
Plant's able to handle abiotic and biotic in a better way. Donnie Jones, Senior Agronomist for GrowMark, Enhanced Water Management. Less compaction concerns and proper tilt, less damage in adverse conditions. You know what I was surprised this year? I figured when we started combine, we'd be falling in everywhere. The rest of the fields, we didn't create any ruts. I mean, I couldn't believe it. We were whacked. So, at Hershey, you have 2 senior agronomist, scientist, researcher, junior. Very, very, very well recognized people. What Nathan was able to tell me at their research facility, they were able to show a 15% improvement in capillary action. That's down, and that's back up. Soil stability, 12.4. How important is that to have a reduction in erosion? 12.4% compared to their check. 3.5 better water. This is 1 year. This is not multiple years, this is 1 year, in furrow with corn, soil respiration 17% improvement. Dr. Orslick said enhances soil health, preserves crop yield potential. We need to be thinking about how to preserve, not how to make. Preserving is where that 600 bushel that's in your bag tends to stay more consistently that way. Processing tomatoes, here's what we got. This is 2017 on processed tomatoes. Check Penn State fertility standard, 90 pounds of N. Solids, Penn State fertility program, we wanted to throw another 60 pounds, it'd be 150, 30 ton. Then we took the average of 5 plots, fertility, same as number 2, be a total of 160 pounds of N. So we take a look at it, and various rates of SP1 from 1 gallon to 3, and we go about 35 tons. A little bit of a difference there. Sweet corn, taking a look at final stand count, number of ears, ear weight. You understand, I'm kind of an agronomist type of guy, and I'm always looking for what might be better. We had a little value there. Okay, so now we're in Penn State no-till field corn SP1 broadcast. It wasn't even applied in furrow. It was reps were SP1 of 1.5 gallons the acre, 2 years in a row, hand harvest comparison, thousandths of an acre data. We show the trend line is up with the use of our SP1 over our 1, 2, and 3 checks. This soil here and this soil here were all planted at the same time, same day. Planter running right through, 6-row planter in these plots. This side here was sidewall compaction and poor soil closure. This side here, from the being second year SP1, no sidewall compaction to compare to this side, and these plants got out of the ground and got started earlier, and that made all the difference in the world. And this is why I'm saying, what opportunities we have to have a tool in our toolbox that we can apply to a crop that is making us money, and we can improve the soil structure at the same time. We're going on to Dr. Heininger. I called Doc, we set up all these trials, 1, 3, 6, or 1.5, 3, 6 rates, an SP1 and a nutrient support pack of about 6 ounces, which Doc says, I just wanted to throw it against the wall and see what happened. So here is something that I asked for some help on. Our soil temperature was cooler by 7 degrees. Canopy temperature was cooler by 6.1. The standard fertilizer was its 1027O is 176 and 202.9. Now this year coming in, we're going to do that 1.5, 3, and 6. So Doc, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, I wish I followed your directions, Denny, now, but this was new to me, brand new, something I hadn't dealt with before. So I thought, if it's going to work, particularly on this soil, I need to put it in as a higher rate. But it was shocking what we saw there. You look at that soil temp there. That's when you looked at that soil, you were seeing a lot more moisture in that soil. That's the reason that soil temperature was cooler at that point.
So in Doc Heininger's fertilizer trials during 2018, the SP1 treatment was the top performer of 15 various fertilizer treatments from other companies. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, we used all kinds of stuff there.
So here's your kind of looking at some general applications, broadcast, in furrow, foliar, row crop, vegetables, use, in furrow, starter, side dress, drip, transplant water, and broadcast herbicide. SP1 works when the oxygen is present, not advised to use for permanent underground irrigation deeper than 18 inches. Okay, so more moisture, more nutrients. Don Jones. This is a potato grower that I work with up Young Gun up in Pennsylvania. Earthworm populations on the soil I farm has increased nearly tenfold. The use of SP1 and the soil structure significantly improved. You know, Mike and I have been blown away with some of the work that he's been able to see. Sal Pastizzi is one of the early adopters with me at GrowMart. Just on the slips, Dean Collimer, Dean, the modification of structure is the benefit that assists with the use of SP1, both root penetration and nutrient recovery in the work. Here's Les Widmer. I think it's just doing its own thing now because I'm not touching anything. Grain to vegetables. Let's see if it does it again by itself. This is the one I better stop on without moving. See, I asked each of these guys to give me a comment. I don't care what they say. And there was not one negative comment that I would have avoided putting in from all the people that I've worked with SP1. This young researcher, listen to what he says. Now they're in several years with us. SP1 is working on having an impact on physical properties like the other product we've used at Hershey. SP1 has demonstrated value in improving soil health markers on the physical properties of soil, normally left to cover crops. SP1 improvement on physical properties of soils is occurring in production row crop was normally expected from cover crops of multiple years. Back up. That first potato farmer, I'm not telling these guys what to do growing these potatoes. I had a grower put 14 gallons the acre on his potatoes this year. Okay? He had 7 gallons. He had 14. We were never less than 100 hundredweight gain to the additional 7 gallons of SP1. Never less than. Well, how in the world do you produce 550 hundredweights of potatoes with 160 pounds of nitrogen? How do you do this? Does it make sense? Absolutely not. There was no manure. There was no cover crop to mount anything. How do you do this? So we get these oats growing. No fertilizer on these oats. 550 hundredweight, 160 pounds of nitrogen. April. Year before, oats are growing, they're dark green as anything. How do you do this? So I called Nathan Hikes. I says, you got time, bring your equipment, let's see what we got. We're producing 30% more nitrogen in root rhizosphere between the 7 and 14. Now, I'm not telling you to use 14 by no means. What I'm saying is, as we begin to change the soils to be fertile, once again, biology comes back to play. Now, I did go to Commodity Classic. I spent 3 days there. I was there when they were slamming stuff up. I talked to everybody there in the biological world. Some of them I only spent 5 minutes with, 10 minutes. Some I spent 4 hours to see if there was anything out there close to the diversity of SP1. To date, SP1 is the most powerful tool that I've found in my 40 years of work. So what do we know about soil health? Restore soil life to enhance microbiological activity. Set up your soil to maximize performance of your plants. Soil health equals plant health. Improve water use, nutrient exchange. Profit is about higher yields but spending less. Well, we're running that tractor easier. If we're able to move through that corn because it's standing up better, because our plants can pick up potassium now. Because the soil structure is improved. Improved soil health will keep increased farm profitability. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. The question remains, what does it mean for our farm? And here's the things that I look at. Reduce field time, use less fuel, less tillage, optimize, and improve residue management. I think that's it, Les.